I teach mainly Introduction to Biology, which is the first class that a lot of students take in the sciences here at Metro because it's a lead-in to every other biology class that they take. I've been at Metro for 3 years. I'm starting my 3rd year. I actually started as an adjunct for a term in chemistry, and I started out at the Fort Omaha campus. Before I came to Metro, I worked for a year as an online instructor with Kaplan University and an online instructor with Graceland University, which is a small liberal arts college in south central Iowa. And most of the time I was a stay-at-home mom. So I grew up in small town Nebraska, northeast corner of the state, an hour from Sioux City. It's a small town called Hardington. My school actually doesn't exist like it did before. It is now one of those schools that has consolidated in the last couple of years. After graduating there, I went to Iowa State University, where I got a bachelor's degree in agricultural biochemistry. And I also got a master's degree from them in biochemistry. And then I moved out west, where I learned to love the mountains. Went to Washington State, that's eastern Washington. Other side of the state from Seattle. Most people confuse it with University of Washington. And I have a PhD from there in biochemistry. I've always been interested in the natural sciences, biology and chemistry, because my dad was an elementary school teacher and he taught biology, chemistry, physics, astronomy, anything you could think that your 4th, 5th, and 6th grader would take. And so I grew up with the sciences. When I was at Iowa State, I had a professor. I'd never actually had him for a class, called Dr. White, and he recognized it in a summer camp that I went to at Iowa State, that I had a passion for what I was doing, a passion for the natural sciences, and was really instrumental in getting me to Iowa State. He then hooked me up with my research mentor there, whose name was Dr. Bartsch, and he really saw that I had a passion for teaching, even though while I was at Iowa State I didn't have a lot of opportunities, but within the laboratory setting, one-on-one, that I was really good at explaining things to students. So after teaching online for a year, I started looking for a position that offered me the chance to be face-to-face with students. What I really missed teaching online was seeing the students' faces, seeing when they understand something, seeing when they don't understand something, seeing the little light go on, being able to probe them and ask for more questions. So being in the Omaha metro area, I just started looking at the colleges that were here. Metro was very attractive because I could get a 9-month teaching position. With having 3 kids at home, teaching year-round was not going to be financially smart for us because we would have to pay for daycare in the summer. What motivates me is that it's always changing. So as you learn the basics, you can take those basics and come out to what's the newest, greatest thing that's on the news. That also motivates me to teach the students because I know that they hear these things on the news and they may not understand them. And so if I can give them the basics so that when something new comes out in 10 years, they at least can understand it a little bit. Maybe it's not so scary, some of the words that get tossed around. So when I started teaching as a graduate student, it was still very much the lecture and the lecturer and the student. So you would stand up in front of the class, you would draw pictures on the board, and over the last 10, 15 years, it's really changed to be more technological. There are a lot more things that you can get from the internet. Book companies are giving you a lot more videos that you can use. Recently, you can start getting more apps for your smartphone that have an educational aspect to it. And so you can start to share those with the students. The advantage of that is that you start to connect to a lot of different types of students. A lot of students don't learn very well by you just standing up and lecturing to them. They learn by writing, they learn by listening. Some of them, they have to take what you take in the classroom and take it home. And technology has really allowed you to be able to take it home. I want students to remember that I helped them to be successful. A lot of times students come into my classroom with lots of different goals. Sometimes it's the nursing student that says, I need to get an A. What do I need to get an A? And that's all they want to know. And then I had a student who just wanted to be able to talk with his girlfriend, who was a biology major. So for him, being successful was just learning the language of doing it. And so I want students to remember that I took the time to help them find the tools that they needed to be successful in my course. Whether that was teaching them how to open up the book, because I have them do that in the class, whether it's giving them a study guide that really helped them follow the lecture along, finding some new app, showing them that there's a variety of different ways for them to be successful. And so I want them to know, or to take out of the class about me, to be remembered by, that that I took the time to actually find what would work for them and to make them successful. Well, teaching is my passion. I'm doing what I love to do. Career-wise, when my kids get old enough, I would like to start taking classes to be a master naturalist, which is learning more about ecology and the outdoor world. I love to camp, I love to hike, and having those skills I think will help in my own passion outside of the college, but I think it will also help me in the classroom as well. But that's a couple years down the road. My words of wisdom to my students, and I tell them this on the first day of class, is to find out what kind of learner you are, because that's going to help you be successful. If you are a student who learns by reading the book, then you should be reading the book. If you are a student who learns by listening, you should be listening. If you're a student who needs extra help, you need to be aware of that. Because you're not going to be successful here or anywhere else if you don't know what it takes for you to learn something new. I think I'd also want my students to learn from any science class, whether it's my science class or anybody else's, that science isn't scary. You're surprised how many students come into my classroom and go, I'm scared of this class. Because it's science. It's biology or it's chemistry. It's going to be technology and terminology that they don't understand. And I think I'd like them to know that it's not scary. That when they talk about things like on the news that are science related, that it's not a scary subject and that they can understand it. Science is so interconnected now. I mean, when you take a biology class, you learn chemistry. When you take a chemistry class, you learn a little biology. When you take physics, you're using chemistry and biology and vice versa. Nothing is in a vacuum anymore. You can't take one class and not expect to learn something about another. It's so interrelated to each other. A lot of the disciplines now are even combined. When you get into a 4-year degree, you might not just study biology, you might be like me and you study biochemistry, which is the study of the chemistry of the body. And so you learn both. And even in medicine now, you're going to need biology and chemistry and physics in order to be successful, because you pull on all parts of those now. Like the culinary, you do need chemistry to learn how the different chemical reactions to go. Biology as far as nutrition, making sure that your meals are nutritionally sound. Being able to tell somebody what a protein is, what a carbohydrate is, what's the difference as far as how your body treats it. You can't do anything these days without touching upon biology or chemistry or one of the other sciences. I know students shouldn't think that they come to Metro and they're not going to get somebody with an advanced degree, or they're only going to get somebody with a master's degree. Students or people who have PhDs or master's degrees, they want to teach. I'm here because I want to be here. I could go to a 4-year institution and I could teach and do research, but teaching is what I really want to do. Metro gives me that opportunity to focus on my teaching. Lots of faculty development to help you become better at what you really want to do. And you're not so much sidetracked about what's going in your laboratory. I think that's one thing that's really nice about a community college setting, is that your faculty that you come in contact with are there to teach. They're not there to do research, and teaching is just something they have to do to get by. They're teaching because they want to be here. They want to teach you the material.